Well, happy Sunday evening, everybody, and welcome to Inside D2Football. I'm Brandon Meisner, along with Chuck Bittner, Chris Ferguson, Tony Nicolette, and Justin Pulizzi. Matt Witwicky, to the thankfulness of all of us, is off tonight. So tonight we are—
He's off every night.
We're going to talk about a lot of things going on over the weekend. A fantastic weekend. Ferris State went to Montana, not able to pull off the victory, but really represented Division II football well. Impressive showing by them. Pitt State narrowly escaped Central Missouri with the win. Outstanding performance by both teams. Truman State moves to 3-0 with a win over ranked Saginaw Valley. Several top 25 teams lost. We'll touch on that as well. We'll also do our stock up, stock down segment, and of course, the picks. And everybody's favorite segment where they get to see how bad I do every week, and that continues this week. Spoiler alert. But we're going to start this week with the result of the week, and that is Western Colorado. The Mountaineers went into CSU-Pueblo, won 30-14. And, Chuck, impressive win by Western Colorado. They're 3-0 on the year.
Yeah, a really tough way to start the conference portion of your schedule, to have to go to one of the toughest teams in the RMAC. They go to Pueblo. It's actually the second year in a row they had to go to the Thunder Bowl and play the Thunderwolves at their home house. Really, really big win for Western Colorado. Special teams and turnovers were huge factors in this game. CSUP actually had a punt return for a touchdown, and Western, really their first 10 points of the day were set up by some special teams errors by the Thunderwolves that they were able to cash in on. So, Western's not necessarily a really explosive offense, but they play very good defense and they're opportunistic on offense. And when you play them, you really have to make them drive the field. You don't want to give them opportunities. You don't want to give them a shortened field, because when you do, they will make you pay for that. And that's really kind of the story of the game yesterday. They had 6 scoring possessions, and a lot of those started in plus territory. I think their longest scoring drive was 53 yards. So if you give them a short field, you're in trouble. So huge win for Western Colorado. Like I said, is a tough way to start the RMAC portion of the schedule. Their 3rd straight win over the Thunderwolves in the annual series. So a great result for Western Colorado.
Fantastic. And joining us now is the head coach of Western Colorado, Jas Bains. He has been the head coach since 2011. Coach, thank you very much for joining us tonight on Inside D2Football.
Thank you for having me.
So, Coach, when you play a good team that you're evenly matched with, we know a lot of times those games come down to special teams and turnovers. It's usually a couple plays that'll make the difference. Tell us a little bit about how your special teams was able to impact the game yesterday, and was that something that you emphasized going into the game?
We spend a lot of time, Chuck, on special teams here. We're typically 20, 25 minutes a day on some of these units, throughout the week. And we kind of make it a third of the game, so to speak, and spend a lot of time on it. And Jake Van Grol's our special teams coordinator, and he's done a great job for us. And we're hoping for some big plays, on special teams, where we felt like we had some opportunities to, I guess, expose them, so to speak. And, we were able to capitalize that right off the bat, with the punt block, which was great, momentum changer right off the bat and field position and those things. And then, obviously they get a big play later in the game as well, with the punt return for a touchdown. So, our guys did a good job, and, we try to maximize on those opportunities like you described.
You had a great day limiting the CSU-Pueblo offense. I'm very familiar with Chance Fuller, who's the quarterback for CSU-Pueblo, a very good player. How are you guys able to so successfully frustrate him and force him into a bad game?
Yeah, our defensive staff does an incredible job. Coach Auer has been our defensive coordinator since 2016, and a long time here in the RMAC and those things. And we just did a good job just kind of mixing things up and switching some calls up and trying to disguise and give different looks. We're not the biggest and fastest all the time, but we're slanting and stunting and blitzing and moving just about every other play. So I think sometimes that, it's our advantage a little bit, but guys came out and played hard, and we made some plays and forced them into some third downs and those things. And, we're able to get to the quarterback and put enough pressure, to get him to release the ball and do those things. And our secondary played pretty well. So.
So, Coach, your offense did do a great job of taking advantage of opportunities yesterday, and momentum means so much in games like this. And when your defense or your special teams creates a turnover or gives your offense a short field, and then you go out and make them pay for that mistake, what does that do for momentum? How does that really kind of help just drive the whole team forward? Because you really do get all three phases involved in the game at that point.
Yeah, I mean, we try to focus on those a lot, even throughout the week. Anytime we have an opportunity to obviously put points on the board after a turnover or a big special teams play. We want to be able to capitalize on that. And, I think we were able to do that a few times. Obviously, we want to come away with touchdowns rather than field goals. We'd like to do that a little bit more. But, it's all about scoring points. If you're down there and you got to have that opportunity, especially against a good team like CSU-Pueblo, they're coached very well. And Coach Vihil's, just starting off there, and they've always been a tough opponent in those things. And, against teams like CSU-Pueblo, you got to maximize those opportunities and really put points on the board when you have a chance.
You have an entirely new backfield. Cummings is gone. Chuck mentioned your defense. You've talked about special teams. How important are those two phases of the game in letting your new offensive personnel get up to speed?
I think they're good. We were replacing a lot of guys on special teams, but we feel like we've ID'd those guys. We had a few guys missing, this past weekend. But, I think our defense, we're going to rely on them. We're going to try to get other teams to, obviously march down the field and score against our defense a little bit. And then obviously, like you said, maximize those opportunities on offense. I think we're a very capable offense with a lot of new faces right now. We've had opportunities to put more points on the board, quite frankly, maybe the last 3 weeks. And, we missed on those opportunities where we felt like maybe we should have put the game potentially away, I guess. I don't know how you want to describe that, but to maybe build a bigger lead and kind of be in control a little bit more, where we were the last couple of weeks. And I give credit to our opponents, with Permian Basin and CSU-Pueblo, man, they just didn't go away. And, we felt like we didn't maximize that opportunity where we could have maybe put the game out of reach a little bit sooner.
So, Coach, you have opened with the same three teams for 2 years in a row. Now, a year ago, you start out 0-2. So I imagine you have to do a little bit of, confidence building, build the team up, get them ready for, we're still a real good football team. We have a lot of good things in front of us. Now, this year, you start 3-0. So is it a different challenge to maybe kind of get the team to just stay focused, not get caught up on being 3-0 and just stay focused on the next game in front of them?
Yeah, it was just interesting going into the year, right? So we had 3 new programs, 3 new coaches at all the programs, and so just not knowing a ton really going into each matchup until after, week 1 where you get a gauge and you get a chance to watch them on film a little bit and do that. But it was just challenging going out of the start. But, obviously you go into every season, trying to focus on each and every game that you have in that week. And I think we've been able to do that. I think, we tried to build the, kind of the personality of this team, starting back last January and, what kind of team are you going to be? This isn't the 22 or 21 or 2019 teams, right? Like this is a whole new ball club. And so, it's creating their own identity. And I think we're still working on that. I think we have a pretty good idea of what kind of football team we are and, really what kind of football team we feel like we can be. So just trying to keep them focused, obviously, you play a big game right here in the conference, it's opening game. It's at CSU-Pueblo and, they got a beautiful facility and we get lots of fans that go down there. And so just right off the bat, right, it's a big game. And so just to come away and be able to just focus, on that game and come away with a win was pretty big for us. And hopefully we can continue to build on that and, take it into this week as well.
So, Coach, you mentioned their facility, which it is a top-notch, beautiful facility. Now, if I came to a game in Gunnison this year, it might look a little bit underwhelming to me, but I want to give you a chance to kind of talk up some really great things that are happening at Western Colorado. You've got some amazing-looking upgrades coming to the Mountaineer Bowl. Tell me how exciting it's going to be a year from now for the program when you get to take the field at the completely renovated Mountaineer Bowl. Sure.
We play at some beautiful places, Chuck, in the RMAC, just in our region and those things. It's, unbelievable settings and those things. And, I've been here a long time and, I used to coach against Western as well. and they have one of the best settings, in my opinion, in Division II football. And the facilities were just lacking. And it's going to be such a big upgrade. And I'm not going to say ours are going to be better than anybody else's, but I mean, it's going to be awesome. They're going to have lighting. It's going to be turfed, brand new track. They got locker rooms in there, which we didn't have locker rooms at our facility before, where all of us, home team, visiting team, we're all kind of trekking up from our gym area to get up to the games and do that. Now, you won't have that. It's going to have the scoreboard, 2 teams, 2 locker rooms for both teams, and press box and some suites. I mean, it's going to be a fantastic setting for a college football game.
When we before the show, we were talking. You said you played at Fresno State, but most of your coaching has been in Division II, including your time there at Western Colorado. What are some positives you like about Division II and coaching at this level?
I love everything about it. I don't know anything different because I haven't coached anywhere else either, but I've really enjoyed, the last, I think it's 18 years of coaching in Division II. I spent 5 years at Chadron State, Nebraska, and I've been here since 2010. And I've just really enjoyed it, just the challenges, I guess you have, and everybody has different ones. And we have ours just like everybody else. But just the challenge, the type of kids you get to coach, not everybody's on scholarship or they're not on full scholarships, and everybody's paying their way to go through school and trying to help young kids and mentor them and do those things. It's been a lot of fun. And, I've really enjoyed it. I didn't know much about Division II, I mean, and I'm a California guy, and I didn't know very much about Division II at all. There's no Division II back there, really. Well, not anymore, I guess. And even back then, when I was younger, I mean, I didn't know much about Division II football at that point. So just to get out to this region and be in the RMAC, several years now, and just having an opportunity to, play other schools and other programs around the region, and follow Division II football and be a part of it, it has been pretty special. I've really enjoyed my time.
All right, very good. Well, we've enjoyed having you on. Congratulations on your win over CSU-Pueblo, and good luck the rest of the way.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Very good. That's Jas Bains. He is the head coach at Western Colorado, and we thank him for coming on Inside D2 Football tonight. Let's bring the rest of the crew back in, gentlemen, and wanted to remind everybody in the Augustana, Sioux Falls, well, the Sioux Falls area, but that Boss's Pizza and Chicken, Matt Witwicky and I, one of us obviously not here, will be engaging in an eating contest. We have to eat a 28-inch pizza. It's called the Boss Hog. Found out some bad news today, or this week, I'm sorry. It has to have 2 meats and extra cheese on it. And I'm really kind of scared about that, to tell you the truth, guys. And you also can't leave the table. And I drink so much pop, I'm worried about having to leave the table. So I'm honestly having some fear about this, but we will engage with with that eating contest. The 29th, I believe it is, and the 30th will be at the Augustana Sioux Falls game. But we will be doing that at Boss's Pizza and Chicken. They are a supporter of ours this year. That's not the pizza that we will have to eat. One like this is. And while Matt and I are both pretty round, I have much more faith in his ability to pound that down than I do mine. I've never eaten there, but Matt says it's very good. I'm looking forward to that. Unfortunately, I don't know if I'll have any room left for wings, but we will see. I'm highly doubtful of that. But
this sounds an awful lot like somebody trying to get out of having to do the
it sounds like it sure feels that way too.
Is it that, or is it just do you see a lot of other things on the menu here that are really appealing, and you want to just kind of go all in on some of these other things? Because those wings look really good.
I mean, yes, those look very good, and as fat as I am, I'm very picky. So those do look good.
So it doesn't sound as much like trying to get out of it as the other guy not showing up. I mean,
I think if Wick can handle 2/3 of it, I can get the other third for sure.
Oh, well, there you go.
Anyway, Boss's Pizza Chicken, go to their website. You see it on the screen there. They're looking for franchisees. Think of MIAA area, think out in the RMAC even. And they would like to open more stores or restaurants in whatever town or whatever fits whatever places fit. And I can think of a couple off the top of my head, and maybe I'll start hitting up friends in those areas to potentially open a location there. But I really like
one. If they have one in Kansas City, you could practice, Brandon.
Well,
we need to get a location down there in your area, and then you could practice.
Yeah, I'll be really honest with you. I have been kind of practicing with other pizza down here. I mean, like, just honestly, I know that's kind of pathetic, but I've just been trying to see just how much I can do, because I really don't want to let Matt down on this one, and I'm really kind of worried about it. So yes, you were right, Tony, that it is somebody that's a little bit worried about that. So, but nonetheless, that it'll come and go, and we'll either do it or we won't do it. But that will be in a couple weeks. I very much look forward to seeing and meeting Augustana and Sioux Falls.
Oh, you're doing this.
No, yeah, you can't back out now. You're committed.
I'm going to try at least, but we will see. But,
there is no try. There is only do.
Right.
You will succeed.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Ferg. I appreciate the love. So let's go ahead and look at some top 25 results from this weekend, and we're going to start talking about Ferris's game at Montana. An outstanding effort by the Bulldogs, but they fall just short. They lose 17-10.
Yeah, Brandon, I was really kind of struggling afterwards to process, if I'm Ferris State, how do I feel walking away from that? Because look, they have so much to be proud of, because I think the most important thing was they proved that they belonged there. They were absolutely on an equal playing field with Montana. They made a lot of things happen. The speed and athleticism was on full display. Actually, I think more on defense even than on offense. Their speed and athleticism was on full display. They're actually bigger at the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. So I think they absolutely proved the point that the best team in Division II can play with a really good FCS program. I don't think that's even questionable after that performance. The only thing is, they could have won. I mean, that's the tough thing, is you kind of walk away from it. You can be really proud about the way they performed, but probably very frustrated because they could have won, eliminated a few mistakes, a few penalties, and they maybe win that game.
Yep. We talked, this is the first game that I think you, Matt, and I have had like a running dialogue watching one game, and it was worth it to watch that. I think three things that we talked about. That turnover on the interception was big when Mitchell overthrew the receiver. There was a punt that was down to one that ended up being big. Great job by Montana special teams. And also, I don't think, and Tony Anese has basically said this, that they accounted for the crowd noise like they should have. And that I think that really hurt them in a goal-to-go situation where they got at least one false start, made second and goal from the 2 to second and goal at the 5. And I think the failure to punch it in there really did hurt the Bulldogs, and obviously the margin would indicate such. So, but still, it was a great effort by them, guys.
Absolutely.
2 drives in the fourth quarter, make it in the red zone and get points, man. I mean, that's
right.
That's tough. And if we look at it through the lens of the Bulldog modified scoring system, they outgained them by about 100 yards. Really kind of controlled play. I've actually got a coworker / buddy that was at the game who played at Montana, and he even said, he's like, hey, they really owned us up front. So I mean, it was what you guys saw on TV, what we all saw on TV was pretty accurate to what the folks in the stadium were seeing too. So again, if you're Ferris, I mean, it's probably more disappointment than anything. You're not going there to represent D2 well. You're going there to try to win a damn ball game, and they probably should have.
Hey, but we're going to take the credit or the love when we can get it. So congratulations.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Ferris. I mean, they made the rest of us look good. One thing I'm proud of that we don't do here is get wrapped up in what other divisions think about us, the FCS, FBS, NAIA, D3. I just don't care. A lot of others care more about that than anything else. But having said that, they really did represent us well and gave credence to Grand Valley, who beat them last year, and anybody who plays them close, and to know that we have great football at this level as well. Let's move on, though. Pittsburgh State escapes Warrensburg, a 38-37 win over the Mules for Pittsburgh State. I took 2 things from this game. One, Pitt State was lucky to win. Central Missouri Central Missouri failed on a 2-point conversion to try to win the game at the very end. And the second one is the Central Missouri Mules are a great team this year. Good depends on your definition of great. Nonetheless, they're a top 15 team this year, and I was really impressed with the Mules.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that I would say Pittsburgh State was lucky. They made a lot of plays in the second half of that game. I think they only had 10 points on the board at halftime because they were down 17-10 at the half, I believe. They made a lot of plays in the second half. And I mean, the fourth quarter was crazy. The last 6 drives of this game all ended in touchdowns, 3 for Pitt State, 3 for Central Missouri. And as you said, Brandon, came down to the 2-point conversion was the difference.
And you'll see it at the end of this video. But yeah,
I think I'd be interested to hear what you said, because I know you were at this game and watched it, so you have kind of a better feel for what how things were playing out on the field. Just listening to it and being able to watch the last couple minutes. I was listening to the whole second half and got to watch the last couple minutes, like in front of the screen. I felt like going for 2 was the right call.
I do too.
Pitt State's offense was basically unstoppable in the second half, and I would not have wanted to go to OT with them. Not sure I like the play call that much, but I'm
that was my thought process.
Fanboy nitpicking here. I do think it was the right call to go for it.
This is the 2-point conversion right here. And
I think the way Zabrowski was having so much success running the ball, I think you have to give him some type of RPO there.
Yeah, and he had 6. You're right. Now they can't take the back end off the defense, which is what led to a lot of his rushing yards earlier. But nonetheless, yes, I agree that I was not a fan of the play call. I was there with a friend of mine, and I told him that Central was going to. Pitt was driving. I said they're going to score. Central's going to score, and they're going to go for 2. I don't know if they're going to make it or not. But it was good for me to at least get one thing right in this football week, because that was the only thing I got right.
Yeah, I always like aggressive coaching, and even being the home team. A lot of times the home team would not do that. I thought Lamberson absolutely made the right call to go for it.
Yeah, it's theoretically still an upset. So get that win while you can on what's like a 67%.
You go to overtime, it's going to come down to a play like that anyway. So take your shot.
Yep. I agree. I like it. So let's look at the other game. Florida A&M, a 31-10 win over West Florida. The first loss in the Caleb Nobles era.
Yeah, this was a game we talked about a little bit last week, guys. It's FAMU nationally ranked in FCS, and so it was a great first half. West Florida battled them tough. It was a 3-3 ball game at the half. Unfortunately, FAMU came out in second half in that third quarter, scored 21 unanswered to really put the game away. In 31-10 was the final. West Florida got that touchdown late there in the fourth quarter, and really it was a game that when you watch the first half, you're like, hey, this is a phenomenal game. You get to the second half, anything can happen, and it just didn't come out of the locker room. It's almost like when you look at the stat line, the offense just didn't get going, particularly there in the second half, and they didn't really have an answer to stop FAMU. They made some adjustments at the half, and ultimately that was the difference in this ball game. It was a tough battle for West Florida. Again, I think give them credit to go there and compete with a nationally ranked FCS program, but just ultimately too little, too late, and they get back on track this week against West Georgia back in Gulf South play. So look for a little bit of a different potential outcome this week, but nonetheless, it was a great game, at least through one half action.
You might see that West Florida game in the pick'em this week. So stay tuned to the end and see who we pick to win. Central Washington, a 27-24 win over Angelo State. I was watching this one. I have typically 4 or 5 games going on at the same time in my office setup, and I was watching this one out of the corner of my eye. Central Washington dominated most of the game, or not dominated, but they had a comfortable lead, 2-score lead most of the game. Angelo State kind of roared back at the end, but it was too little too late. Impressive win for Central Washington. Chuck, we talked, it's a tough trip to make to Ellensburg, but nonetheless impressive for Central Washington to come away with a win there.
Yeah, we didn't really know what to make of that because Central Washington had kind of a puzzling loss the week before at Montana Tech. No disrespect to them, but we expected Central to win that game. But I think it's just kind of, is this also a situation? We kind of thought the same thing perhaps with Pueblo and Grand Valley. Did they maybe let a team beat them twice? Was Angelo still just kind of a little bit depleted from the loss to Mines last week?
Maybe.
And then you kind of have a shorter turnaround than you're used to because you got to travel all the way up to Washington. Just a difficult set of circumstances. And also Central Washington is a very good football team.
Fort Hays, a 17-6 win over Northwest Missouri. Northwest Missouri falls to 1-2. Will likely be out of the national rankings this week. The Bearcats couldn't get anything going on offense.
Nope.
Also this week, Shepherd, a 44-34 win over California. The Rams keep finding ways to win.
Yeah, and I think you'll probably see when we do the pick'em recap, I was the only one that actually picked Shepherd in that game. Not necessarily because I had overwhelming confidence in the Rams. I had actually seen Cal the week before and had some questions about some things that I thought Shepherd could exploit and match up well with. It was a very good win for Shepherd. Interestingly enough, all the talent that they lost that we keep talking about and the names we keep rehashing were on the offensive side of the football. Shepherd's offense is coming along just fine. I don't have any concerns about where they are offensively. They have to get a lot better on defense. Cal's wide receiver, and I apologize to him, I don't have his name right in front of me. It's in my column.
How dare you not know everybody's name in Division II off the top of your head, Chuck?
Well, this fella, let me get it for you because he had a tremendous day. If I can
That's
find
fine.
it
Take
in
your
my
time and
column.
get it.
Like
We need somebody to
270.
give a hard time to since Witt's not here tonight. So
Yeah.
Well, no, I was being sarcastic. Obviously, I don't think we should be required to remember. There's 160 teams. We shouldn't know every player on every team. It's probably an unrealistic expectation for a hobby.
He had a big day. Eric Williams, a wide receiver from California, 6 catches, 274 yards on just 6 catches. Shepherd's got to do a lot better on pass defense.
Yep. All right. It's now time, gentlemen, to move to our next segment. And it's our new segment, Stock Up, Stock Down. Let's see how the stock market looks in your neck of the woods. Let's start today with a stock up, and we'll start with Truman State.
Yeah, so Truman State, Brandon, is a team that, probably feels a little shortchanged coming out of last year. Basically played a de facto GLVC title game that ended up being a de facto play-in playoff game in the last week of the season and fell a little short against the Greyhounds. So just missed getting a chance at a playoff berth. And so they came into this season, probably trying to see what they can do to get themselves back into a good spot. And so far they've put in that work. I mean, they're a 3-0 football team. They are not thus far particularly impressive offensively, but man, that defense is stout. Basically 95-ish yards a game that they're yielding in the run game, only 3.4 yards per carry that they're giving up against their competition thus far, which includes, a GLIAC team in Saginaw Valley State this past week that they held under 100 yards, and Saginaw wants to run the ball, and they're good at running the ball, and they couldn't do it. So this is a team that, offensively, again, they're not going to wow you, but they convert on third down 47% of the time. And so they kind of keep the ball away from you. They're possessing the ball at about 34 minutes a game. So this is a team that, they're going to try to play mistake free, and they're going to let guys on the defense, like their linebackers, Ulysses Ross and Isaiah Estes, just sweep things up, keep you short, keep you off the field, and let the offense just do enough to be able to score enough points to win. Now, as they get in through the GLVC schedule and keep playing a few other non-con games, is that going to be enough? I guess we're going to find out. But so far, it's a formula that's been working.
All right. Next team for the second week in a row. The stock is down in the South Atlantic Conference. Wingate falls to 1-2.
Yeah, guys, this is uncharacteristic for them to have their second loss in week 3. It's not something we see very often from Wingate. So following up their 15-10 loss to Morris Hill, turned around this week and lost a nail-biter 23-21 to Tusculum. The safety was the difference in that one there in the third quarter. But defensively, solid like usual. Offensively, they were able to get some points, just not able to capitalize. And Tusculum had to change a quarterback this week. So just some different things going on there. And again, it's a really uncharacteristic loss, I think, this early in the season for Wingate, especially with the expectations coming into the year where they were. And then you look at this week, they go on the road to Emory and Henry, which is not an easy place to play. So it's not, again, it's another tough week. they're going to have the work cut out for them. Otherwise, they're going to be 1-3 in week 4 here. So stock is definitely down right now down at Wingate.
All right. Better news in Alabama, though, where Tuskegee is stock up.
Yeah, Tuskegee, winner of 3 straight to start the season. They had that amazing game against Fort Valley, where Fort Valley was really the favorite one, and they just came out and hung tight with them, and then got right past them. Tuskegee's really interesting because every week it seems like they're facing a team that's on the rise, and they're having to slowly put people down. Against Central State yesterday, they end up playing 2 quarterbacks, their second and third string, because the first string was hurt, and both of them passed for over 150 yards apiece, and so they're showing quite a bit of depth on the offensive side. Defensively, they're kind of a bend but don't break type of defense, and so they give up quite a bit of yards, but they do make stops when it matters the most, and so. I expect them to probably be in some more close games, but they certainly have that edge that seems to be carrying them pretty well.
Yeah, they're the traditional power of the SIC. It's good to see them doing well once again. Stock down, our last one of the day, Southeastern Oklahoma.
Yeah, I don't think we had the Savage Storm pegged as a playoff team or a conference championship team coming into the season, but they've had a couple of good years back to back.
Right.
Have the coaching change, lost a little bit of talent through transfers and a little bit through graduation as well. And boy, it's just been a tough early part of the season for them. They haven't really been able to get things going at all. They're 0-3. They did play some tough competition in the first 2 weeks, but this last week 3 against an Oklahoma Baptist team they're still kind of in rebuild recovery mode, and it just wasn't even a competitive game. Not much working offensively right now for the Savage Storm, even with the big transfer running back, Nate Omiaibu from Angelo State. He's averaging about 25 yards a game. So just not anything working offensively for them. They're only getting about 16 points a game, giving up about 36. And coming in at under 300 yards total offense, giving up about 400. Just not a good start to the season. And I don't see things getting a whole lot better in the next couple of weeks because they still have a lot of the heavyweights in the GAC in front of them. So unfortunately, stock is down in Durant.
And one thing I just throw out there is their best wide receiver, Marquise Gray, he hadn't played the last 2 games either. So I think that's also contributing to some of the struggles that they have too.
Yeah,
so
they just
he's
can't
a
get
league 100
going.
player. I mean,
yeah, and they just can't get anything going offensively.
Yep.
All right, very good. That's stuck up, stuck down. We'll be right back. Just wanted to take this opportunity to thank those who've supported D2Football this year. D2Football is free, but it isn't cheap. Your support helps offset our expenses and allows us to expand our coverage. If you like what we're doing, please consider supporting us. Visit d2football.com/support. Or if you want to do it the old-fashioned way, click contact on the website to find our mailing address. But again, thank you for supporting D2Football. All right, checking some miscellaneous news and notes from the weekend. Newberry and Emory and Henry went to 8 overtimes, the most overtimes periods in D2 history.
That was wild. I watched the Ferris game was already going on at that point, but I watched the fourth quarter and the overtimes on the Newberry press box ring cam and was able to see the overtime period. Pretty wild. 8.
Glenville State upsetting Notre Dame. That is a pretty big upset, at least according to recent trends in the MEC. I would say so. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. And Delta State, another win over the FCS by D2. They beat Mississippi Valley State 35-7. Having said that, I think most of us expected them to win. So, but it's been a good year for that. For that trend of beating FCS teams. Having said that, most of the time a D2 beats an FCS. It's not one of the best FCS teams in the country, and there's way more overlap in college football than anyone wants to admit. certainly top 25 D2 schools can go and beat top 25 FCS teams. And when Kaiser plays somebody strong or beats a D2 team, it's not always a shock. There's a lot of overlap, and sometimes people need to get over their arrogance about the level that they play at. But there's good football everywhere. All right. Anything else we need to add, man, or are we ready to look at our failures?
Do we have to?
Yes. All right. Let's go ahead, and I'm going to bring those up. The pick'em results. We'll see if I can record time, put them up, and take them down. Anyway, lots of red on the board for us. I don't know why anybody watches this show, but there's the deal. So, Chuck, congratulations on finishing above 500, and Justin, same to you. The rest of us have some work to do. That's fairly embarrassing, but it is what it is. All right. Let's get that off the screen.
Well, really, we joke about it. It's really not. We pick these games because they're supposed to be toss-ups, right? We shoot them down to one play. And I think all those games were, other than the West Florida and FAMU, I think they were all very close games.
Yeah. Yes, it's true, Chuck. And somebody once bragged about I got 55-10 in my conference pick'em. Well, it's really easy to pick Colorado Mines to beat Adams State. We purposely designed that to try to get 50-50 responses to make it tough to do. Nonetheless, no matter what, I'm really showing how tough it is to do. So, all right, we're moving on to this. All right, ones to watch. Central Missouri, 2-1 will be at Washburn. This wouldn't be the pick 'em. Everybody had picked the Mules, but it'll be interesting because the Mules looked really good last week. What do we got next? Fayetteville State at Virginia Union. Even though Fayetteville State's 1-2, playing Virginia Union at 3-0. Virginia Union want to avenge that loss last year, Chris?
Well, so Virginia Union won that game.
Oh,
yeah, 31-28.
What am I mistaking here? Where there was because Fayetteville won the
Fayetteville won the CIAA. They lost to Chowan, and they had to go and avenge that loss.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I've got Alzheimer's, so please continue.
It's all good. So nonetheless, this game has a little bit of luster off of it now, just because Lincoln, surprisingly, nearly knocked off Fayetteville State yesterday. It took a last-second field goal for Fayetteville State to get past that. Defensively, they definitely have the strength to kind of go toe-to-toe with a lot of teams. But offensively, they're still a work in progress. And, we joke in my corner of the world that Fayetteville State has a new offensive coordinator every year. And it just shows.
Is it a joke or is it true?
It's true. It's
okay.
True. Every year since 2017 or so, they've had a new offensive coordinator. And most of the time they go off to be head coaches. It's a struggle for them. Now, Virginia Union is a bit vulnerable too. Jada Byers is not playing. Not sure if he'll play next game or not. So, they also struggle with Livingstone and really didn't put up the type of points that you expect Virginia Union to put up. Nonetheless, I think they have the edge in this game. I think their defense is a little better and should give Fayetteville State fits. So,
right. Another one to watch: Kutztown 1-2 at Shepherd 3-0.
Yeah, I wouldn't be too deceived by Kutztown's 1-2 record. I watched their entire game at Cal. I watched a bit of them against Mercyhurst. I actually think Kutztown's a pretty good-looking football team. They blew it a little bit in the opener and also at Cal as well. I think that they are a very even match for Shepherd. It's going to be a really good game. And Bradley actually just made a point in the chat that in this series, the visiting team has won all the games. So
wow.
Very interesting, interesting little piece of info there.
That does not happen often. So, all right. Black Hills, 2-1 at Colorado Mesa, also 2-1.
I think this is an interesting matchup. Both are 2-1, although Black Hills lost to a D1 and Colorado Mesa lost to a very good-looking Texas A&M Kingsville team. So I think they're very evenly matched. This could be one of those games that's really important in that kind of first tier behind the big three in the RMAC. So I'm definitely interested to see how this one plays out.
All right. And finally, Indianapolis 2-0 is going to play at Saginaw Valley, who's coming off that loss at Truman. They are 2-1.
Yeah, and this one will be actually quite interesting to watch, Brandon, simply from the standpoint that I'm not sure if we know who either of these teams really is just yet. Saginaw, got off to that good start, 2-0, but I think it's starting to look like, maybe they beat a couple of teams that they should have beat. And then they go to Truman, and you got to give them a little bit of a break that they're missing Jairus Grissom and Micah Hurrow yet is still trying to find his way in terms of starting at quarterback. But I mean, when you go somewhere and expect to run the ball and can't do it because that's your bread and butter, okay, that's a problem. And on the other side, Indianapolis has done a nice job. Gavin Sukup's four touchdowns, no picks through 2 games. They're playing with nice balance offensively, but Hillsdale doesn't look like they're up to what you might normally expect out of Hillsdale. And, Wayne's kind of in a rebuild. So, those 2 wins are over teams that Indianapolis probably should have beat. So, I know Indianapolis is going to be hungry for this one after getting knocked off last year at Saginaw, when they probably felt like they may have had a good chance or maybe even had the better team going in. But yeah, if Jairus Grissom comes back this week, what does that do for Saginaw? I really don't know. So, I mean, this is 2 teams that it's kind of hard to really know who's going to be there for each of them. And that's what makes it an interesting one to watch.
Maybe we should have made that one of the pick'ems.
Yeah.
50-50 nature.
I wouldn't have wanted to pick it. I still don't now.
Those are the best ones. All right. Speaking of the pick'em, let's go ahead and move to this week's pick'em. We've got Barton at Mars Hill, Ashland at Tiffin, Harding at Henderson State, West Georgia at West Florida, and Colorado Mines at CSU-Pueblo. Let's go ahead and take them in order this week. And we will go with Barton at Mars Hill. And Tony gets to pick first.
Oh, man.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why they're good. Yeah.
Man, I don't know. Yeah, you couldn't let Justin give us some kind of good insight first on this.
No, he
one?
gets so loud.
I know. All right, they got an extra game under their belt, and so we'll go with Barton.
Okay. K-Ferg.
This is really interesting. Barton has Jordan Terrell. Their quarterback's playing pretty well. Also, I tend to lean a little bit more towards Mars Hill on this one than Barton. I think they're going to slow down the run game enough to kind of give them a chance to win this game.
All right. Chuck.
Interesting matchup. Yeah, I think the Barton rushing attack with Jordan Terrell and actually Jaquan Lynch, their quarterback, is a playmaker, both running and passing the ball. They're a very good looking team right now, but I'm going to put some faith behind the Mars Hill rush defense that I think is very, very good. And it's a home game there on top of the hill. So I'm going to go with the Lions.
All right. Very good. I am going to go with Mars Hill as well. And Justin, who do you have?
There's not really much left to say after y'all covered most of it, but this is going to be a good game. Barton, I'm not surprised to see where they are right now at 3-0. I think with the backfield that they have with Lynch and Terrell, I mean it's dynamic, and so I'm not surprised. That being said, I think the rush defense for the Lions is going to be a lot for them to handle, and it's at home in Mirror Stadium. And that can be a tough place to play, and so for that reason alone, I'm going to take Mars Hill in this one.
All right. And Whit sent me his picks, and Whit picked Mars Hill as well. All right. And Ashland at 1-2, interesting, is at Tiffin 3-0. Ferg, you get to start on this one, bud.
So we really know why Matt's not here, because Ashland's on the board. And I am not going to give them any fodder. So I'm going to talk more about Tiffin, and I think Tiffin's offense is pretty robust, and I think that they're going to take the win.
Okay. Chuck.
Yeah, tough one. You look at Ashland at 1-2, but I think if you swapped their schedules, the results would be exactly the same. Tiffin would be 1-2, and Ashland would be 3-0. I feel very confident about that. Ashland's actually been a pretty impressive team to me, despite losing their first 2 games. But that Tiffin offense has been really explosive. Like Ferg said, they've been almost unstoppable. And I have some concern with Ashland being able to keep pace if this does get into like the high 20s or the 30s. if they can play a very good defensive football game, they're going to have a good chance. But I lean Tiffin in this one.
All right, very good. I'm going to actually pick Ashland to even the record at 2-2. Justin.
I think I want to take Tiffin at home.
All right. Tony.
So, we've been a little bit rough on Ashland in the first part of this year. Just, hey, new coach. They lost an all-timer on each side of the ball. But Chuck's got this right in that, if you look at who they've played so far, they gave IUP all they wanted, who's ranked and still unbeaten. They gave Ferris all they wanted and had a lead at halftime. And then they took care of Hillsdale, which they should have done this past week. And I know Tiffin scored a lot of points, but against McKendree and St. Anselm, you probably should. And I look at what maybe they were looking ahead because there's a bit of a rivalry here between Tiffin and Ashland. But if you're behind late in the game against Northwood this year, that makes me question, all right, what exactly have you got figured out? Where Ashland is probably in a spot now where they can start to figure things out. And they're far more seasoned at this point than Tiffin is. So I'm actually going to take Ashland here.
Okay, very good. And let's see who Witt took. He took Ashland as well. Right, awesome. 50-50, 50-50 split. Okay, Harding at Henderson State. This is the one I'm afraid everybody's going to pick Harding, but go ahead, Chuck.
Yeah, I am going to take Harding, Brandon. I like what Henderson State has shown so far. I think they've got one of the better quarterbacks in that league, actually probably one of the better ones in the country. He's still a very young player. And this is kind of one of the first games in the series of the big three in the GAC playing each other. So this is going to reveal a lot about where these two teams stand. But I like Harding to come out with the win. I'm going to pick Harding. I am higher on them than I have ever been. I think they have really developed into a great program, and they have a really good team this year. And I think they have an opportunity to do some special things for their program this year. I'm picking them. Justin. Well, Northwest won't be there to knock them out of the playoffs this year. So yeah, could be a real special year.
Justin, go ahead, please.
Wow. Wow.
I don't think it's that bold.
Not the statement in of itself isn't Chuck, but
the fact that it came from Chuck is pretty awesome. So
no, it is, and then the Grand Poobah over here being an alum, it's just hey man, you're hitting where it hurts, and it's just fun.
It's more just a long backstory of Harding and Northwest, and the Northwest fans being so unenthusiastic about playing.
I'm gonna tell you a secret.
Really good. That's all.
I'm gonna tell you an inside story. I saw a high school team running Harding's offense, and I asked the coach, "Are you running Harding's offense?" They confirmed it was Harding's offense. I texted my friend Armo, and I said, "Hey, they're running Harding's offense," and he said something. I go, "Yeah, it looked just like it because they only scored one touchdown." So that's the inside joke between us because they've had a history of shutting down Harding in the way that nobody else could. It's actually an incredible observation by Chuck. So, all right, Justin, go ahead and pick.
I can't really follow that up, so I'm just going to go with Harding on that. But
okay, all right, Tony.
Yeah, and my interest to be contrarian here just kind of gets squelched, Brandon. I want to help you out and not have a like Harding, but man. And I like Henderson State, man. I like rooting for the Reddies when I can, but in this one, until I can see that they can overcome the physicality that Harding's going to bring to this, I gotta stick with Harding.
Yep. Ferg, what you got?
Yeah, a couple of things here. So the last time that Henderson State won is 2017, and there are games in this series since then that have been pretty close, like 13, 14. 15, 14, something like that. So, it's got to be a really good Harding team for it to be a spread of 2 or 3 touchdowns. And I think this year is one of those years. So, give me Harding.
Okay. All right. Now, I'm going to have to get Witt's pick later because he texted a team that is not in the pick'em. So we can either give him the L or get it later, and I think I'll wait till later. So
it sounds like an L.
Is there a picture of beer quota with this pizza eating thing, and he's training for that too?
I don't know. It's all good.
Making up his own games.
He used an ineligible player.
As Whit would say, settle down, settle down.
Yeah.
That's enough out of
Amazing.
you.
He
That's
says
enough.
that when he doesn't
That'll
like
be
the
enough.
that's coming his way, you know. All right, West Georgia is at West Florida. I'm going to pick the Argos to rebound in that one, especially at home, and move to 3-1. Justin.
This is going to be a really, really good game. I think. Ultimately, I think the difference in this is going to be West Georgia and their defense, and I think they have the edge in this one. So I'm going to take the Wolves on the road.
Okay. Tony.
See, and I don't know, man. West Georgia just gave up 35 to Mississippi College. I'm trying to remember the last time anybody did that. So unless there's something there, I don't know. I'm gonna
Triple
take
option.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Be that as it may, I think I like West Florida here.
Okay. Ferg.
Yeah, I agree that I think it's going to be West Florida.
Okay.
I am a little concerned about West Georgia's defense.
Okay. Chuck.
I don't know what to make of West Georgia. They weren't very impressive against Limestone. They won that game, but they weren't very impressive. And then they pretty much gave away the game at Kingsville with turnovers. And then it wasn't looking good at all against Mississippi College, but they kind of made a late rally and won that game. I think they're still figuring some things out offensively. I think they just don't really have things totally figured out on that side of the ball. So I'm going to go with the safe pick and pick West Florida.
All right. And lucky for us, Whit actually chose a team that's in the pick'em,
Oh, good.
and that is West Georgia. So he'll be the contrarian in that one. All right. And our last game of the pick'em, Colorado School of Mines, is at CSU-Pueblo. And Justin, you get to start.
Shoot. Every time when it comes to Pueblo, I'm wrong every time. Every dang time. It does not matter. If I pick them, they lose. If I don't pick them, they win. I can't win with them.
Well, you know what? I know some people at Pueblo, and we'll try to get you some money just to pick them or to pick.
I got you. Well, I'm going to take mines in this one anyway, but I just can't win with them.
Well, that's who they pay to pick. So, all right.
You want my address to send?
Yes, exactly. So, Tony.
Hey, man, for 8 more weeks, John Matoka's playing in the RMAC. Sorry, guys, Colorado Mines.
All right. Ferg.
I just want to say that Pueblo has a really good social media team. And so if it's a clean sweep for Mines and they somehow win, I am afraid of what they might do. I just want to let you know. I'm just letting you know. Don't not let you sweat at any judgment. I, however, am going to go with Mines. I'm sorry. I just can't get there with Pueblo right now. I'm going to go with Mines.
Yep. Okay. Chuck.
Well, the good news is that Pueblo was 1-3 last year and made the playoffs. The bad news is I think they're going to have to try to do that 2 years in a row because I don't see it. I'm taking Mines.
Okay. I've got to take Mines as well. And Whit makes that a clean sweep. So congratulations to CSU Pueblo on your victory this upcoming Saturday.
That's right.
So, all right, very good. All right.
We're all done.
All right. Before we move on to the overtime segment, I want everybody to look at that if you're watching along. You can go to facebook.com/D2Football. You can join us for the overtime segment that way. You can go to Instagram.com. Sorry, don't do that. Go to Twitter. We're at D2Football, as you see at the top. You can watch the show live on there right now. Those are the 2 sections in which we will have the overtime period. And we will answer your questions, comments, compliments, criticisms, whatever comes our way. So this is a reminder to like this video, subscribe to our channel. It could be on Facebook. It could be on YouTube. Follow us on social media. You see them there. D2 Football. You see mine, Chuck's, Witt's, Ferg's, and the coaches. All right. Also, Facebook, as I previously mentioned, you see, and Instagram, that slowly trying to get that one ramped up. During the week, these guys are columnists. Check out their work. They break down the teams and races in their conference. Let me correct that. Some of them are podcasters. We provide coverage that fans might not normally get. If all you like is sunshine pumped, well, you might not like our guys because they're going to be critical but fair. So that it's a different perspective than you might be used to. On game days, access our scoreboard is very active yesterday. You can sort by top 25, by conference, by super region, which is more important as the playoffs approach, and or by all for anybody who loves the entire country like some of us do. We also have the biggest collection of D2 fans in the country on our message board, and I've tried to do a better job of moderating that and approving accounts more quickly. I want to thank today MTM Sports, KNSF and KODE, MLive, and WCTV. Well, gentlemen, do we have anything to add before we move to the overtime? All right. So that will do it, and we will see you on the other side on Facebook and Twitter. And very much thank you for watching Inside D2 Football.